Today we'll be taking a look at and installing the SMI replacement LED monitor light for SMI Air-force One and Stay-in-Play-Duo supplemental braking systems, part number SM99612. As you can see, we can barely see the indicator light on the dash of the Jeep. That is the purpose of installing the indicator light inside your RV. That way you can see exactly what's going on easily in all light conditions. We'll get going a little bit here and we'll apply the brakes. And you can see the brakes are being applied in the Jeep behind us. Here's what our kit consists of. We have two butt connectors here to install it and the actual monitor light itself, which has a double-sided tape to help secure it to the dash or wherever we want to mount it. Has a fairly long wire lead so we can run the wires behind the dash, not have to see everything hanging out. Now we'll go ahead and show you how to install it. Now our motorhome here today, we have a standard 7-way connector on it. Now this motorhome does not currently have a brake controller installed on it. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the wire that the electric power brakes would be used on a trailer behind it and send the signal from our Jeep back through that and into the unused brake controller connector behind the dash. That way we don't have to run any wires through the motorhome itself. We're going to use a pre-existing wire that's already there. The electric brake signal circuit on this particular motorhome and all 7-way connectors uses the bottom right pin right here. So I went ahead and marked that on our umbilical that connects our motorhome and our Jeep. Now, since it's a 7-way here and our Jeep uses a 6-way, the wires are changed. So with the multimeter here, I'll insert into that bottom right pin and go to the other side of the connector to find out which wire it uses. So on our Jeep, we need to go to the pin that corresponds to this one. So what we'll do is we'll take a paint marker here and we will mark it just so it's easier to see. Let's mark right to the side of it. Take our 6-way connector off the front of the Jeep. This way we have access to it. Slide the dust cover on back and we'll loosen the screw here for the one we need to hook our wire up to. Now, because our Jeep here today has to have the battery disconnected when it's being flat towed behind our motorhome, we need to access the blue wire of our breakaway switch because that's where we already tied in our indicator light on the dash of the RV to show when the brakes are being applied with the SMI Stay-in-Play-Duo that is installed in this Jeep. So we'll take back some of this black electrical tape here just to gain access to the wires inside. Now that we're done with that, we will cut the blue wire and strip it back a little bit on each end. Now we'll take a segment of spare wire we have laying around, strip off one end, and we'll tie it together with one of the ends of the blue wire like so. Take a butt connector here, install it, and we'll crimp it into place. Make sure our connection's nice and tight. Take the other end of the blue wire and we'll reinstall it to the other end of the butt connector, crimp it down. Now we use a heat shrink butt connector on this, so we'll take a heat gun and we'll seal our connection up securely. With that done, we'll take the other end of our white wire, wrap it up through the bumper, insert it through our dust cover here, measure off how much we're going to need, and we'll cut off the excess. Strip off a little bit of the insulation. We'll install it inside the terminal that corresponds to where we marked earlier, and we'll tighten the screw back down. Make sure it's nice and tight, which it is. Slide our dust cover back on. Wrap it with electrical tape. Once it's all taped up, we can reinstall our 6-way connector on the prong sticking off our base plate. Get our self-tapping screws back in there. Now we can move on to the motorhome. Now the factory brake controller wiring on this particular van is behind this upper part of the dash here. So we'll take a trim panel tool, get the top loose first. We'll pop it out. Here's the connector we need to use right here. Now there's a quick connect wiring harness available on our website as part number 3034-S, which we have right here. So we'll go ahead and plug into it like so. And this will give the wires we need to work with here. Now the quick connect wiring harness here, there's 4 wires on it. We don't need to worry about the black, the red, or the white. We just need to use the blue. Now, the red wire here, we're going to go ahead and tape off the end of it by itself. And we'll do the same for the other 2 wires that we're not using, because 2 of these wires do have power running through them occasionally. One of them has constant power, and this red one here has power whenever the brake pedal is depressed on our motorhome. So we just want to make sure these don't accidentally touch anything and cause a short. Once we have them wrapped up separately, we'll just wrap them up together too. Now we can drop this wire down behind the dash, and we should have access to it down below now. Now if our wires drop down, we're going to cut the white wire like so, because we can use it as a ground wire. So we'll have our blue wire for our connection from the back. This is where we're getting our signal from the Jeep that the brakes are being applied, and the white wires are ground. So we'll take both these wires, we'll strip off a little bit of insulation, take our butt connector that's included with the indicator light that we have, and we'll crimp it into place. Do the same for the other wire, make sure they're secure, which they are. Now we need to find a place to mount an indicator light. I'm just going to stick it right here on the side of the dash so you can see it while driving and it's not in our way. Peel off the double-sided tape backing, and we'll apply it to the dash right here, and we'll make our connections. The red wire here will go to our blue wire, crimp that down, and the black wire will go to the white. Now we'll wrap up our butt connectors here with some electrical tape just to make sure we have a nice, solid, secure connection. We'll tuck our wires up here underneath the dash. There's a nice little pocket inside there where they'll rest and they won't fall out. Now with our connections made and our wires secure behind the dash, we can reinstall this panel piece. Just push it back in place, just like so. And that'll do it for our look at the SMI replacement LED monitor light for SMI Air-force One and Stay and Play Dual supplemental braking systems, part number SM9961. Click the link below to shop, learn more, or visit us at etrailer.com.